Hi everyone, welcome back to another school year. I hope that you all had a great summer vacation, that you enjoyed time with your family and friends, and that you are ready to start our 21-22 school year. I know that I am. My name is Erica Aguilar. I am one of the education coordinators and I oversee lesson plans, curriculum, and curriculum fidelity. Today's training will be curriculum, lesson planning with fidelity from birth to 4. We are going to be going over curriculum, lesson planning, curriculum fidelity, lesson plan modifications, documenting individualization, our teams and our education plans, and at the end of the session we will have a short quiz. The objectives for our session today is to become familiar with the Frog Street infant, toddler, threes, pre-K, and pre-K 2020 curriculum. We're going to look at classroom schedules and lesson planning, curriculum fidelity, documenting individualization, modifications to lessons and activities, our team's education professional learning community, and our education plans. The first thing that we're going to look at is our Head Start performance standards. The performance standard that we are looking at is 1302.32, which talks about the curriculum. And it states that center-based and family child care programs must implement developmentally appropriate research childhood curricula, including additional curricular activities as appropriate that are based on scientifically valid research and have a standardized training procedures and curriculum materials to support implementation. They have to be aligned with our Head Start Early Learning Outcome Framework, ages birth to 5, and as appropriate, state early learning and developmental standards, and are sufficient content rich to promote measurable progress towards development and learning outlined in the framework, and have an organized developmental scope and sequence that includes plans and materials for learning experiences based on developmental progression and how children learn. A program must support staff to effectively implement curricula and at a minimum monitor curriculum implementation and fidelity and provide support, feedback, and supervision for continuous improvement of its implementation through the system of training and professional development. The curriculum that our program has chosen to implement throughout our different age groups is Frog Street. In Early Head Start, we have Frog Street Infant, Frog Street Toddler, Frog Street Threes for our older toddlers. In Regular Head Start, our 3-year-olds use Frog Street Pre-K, and our 4-year-olds use Frog Street Pre-K 2020. Conscious discipline is a very big component of the Frog Street curriculum. It is a program that focuses on classroom management and social and emotional development. During circle time, teachers implement the brain smart way to start the day through building community. It contains 4 steps: unite, connect, calm, commit. This is implemented through all of the age groups. We start our brain smart way to start the day building community with unite. This is where the children and teachers unite at the carpet. They sing songs and chants to get the day started. Then we move on to connect. And this is where children work together with a partner or as a whole group and they will have simple games or activities that relate to what they will be learning that day. Then we'll move into calm. This is where children learn calming strategies to help them manage with their stress. These are the 4 basic calming strategies. Throughout the year, different strategies are introduced, but we begin the year with these 4 basic ones. The first one is drain, and this is where children extend out their arms and they pretend their arms are faucets. They tighten their arms, shoulder, and face muscles and slowly exhale, making the shh sound. They release all their muscles and drain out the stress. The second one is STAR, which stands for smile, take a deep breath, and relax. This encourages belly breathing, where the tummy goes out when air goes in and in when air goes out. It also helps children learn to exhale slower than they inhale. Then we have pretzel, which is probably the most difficult one out of the 4 basic strategies. So standing up, children cross their ankles. Then they cross their right wrist over the left. They turn their hands so their thumbs are facing the floor. They put their palms together and interlace their fingers. They bend their elbows out and gently turn their hands down and towards the body until they rest on the center of their chest. They put their tongue on the roof of their mouth, relax, and breathe. The last one is balloon, which is probably children's most favorite one. So they place their hands on top of their head and interlace their fingers. They breathe in through their nose as you raise your arms, inflating an imaginary balloon. Release the air in the balloon by pursing your lips, exhaling slowly, lowering your arms, and making the sound. Then we have commit. This is where children learn to accept responsibilities within the classroom community by committing to helping the teacher keep the classroom safe. Children will choose different ways to help their teacher in the classroom. Here we have our commitment posters. This is the poster that we send out to everyone. Daily commitments can be changed at any time based on the needs of your classroom. It is recommended that there are no more than 4 available at one time. So to begin the school year, we want to use these. Today I will use gentle touches. Today I will use my watching eyes. Today I will use my kind words. And today I will use my listening ears. And throughout the year, depending on the needs of your children, you can change these commitments to meet the needs in your classroom. Here we have our commitment sticks and safe keeper box. Each child will have a commitment stick to represent them, and they use it when they are making their commitment. It is recommended that their name be on the commitment stick, and that they can either decorate it or you can add a picture to them. Children need to recognize their own commitment stick. During circle time, children are given their commitment stick and they place it on the commitment they choose for that day. Because we want children to understand the importance of a commitment or a promise, we want to keep the commitment sticks in a special place. Commitment sticks are stored during closing circle time in the safe keeper box. Then we have the safe place. This is a place in the classroom where children can go to calm themselves, regain composure when they're upset, angry, or frustrated. Children can go to the safe place on their own or with their teacher. If the teacher is there with them, they will guide them through the different steps of regaining composure. You can add different books on feelings, scented items, textured items. and they can remain there until they are ready to join the classroom, rejoin the activities that they were doing. We're going to begin with the Frog Street Infant Curriculum. This is for children ages 0 to 17 months, and their mascot is Lily. The curriculum covers the developmental domains of language, cognitive, social-emotional, physical, and approaches to learning. It is broken into 4 parts: 0 to 3 months, 3 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months, and 12 to 18 months. Teachers in the infant classroom implement activity cards. And these activity cards are different lessons and activities that pertain to the developmental domains. So what the teachers do is they select a card for each of the developmental domains, and that is what they will be implementing throughout the week. Here we have the infant lesson plan. This is the first of 2 pages. As we can see here, teachers document their name, theme, date, signature of parent that reviewed the lesson plan. Their coach will sign when they reviewed the lesson plan. We have the Brain Smart way to start the day. We also have the Frog Street activity and objectives. And in the bottom we have our vocabulary and American Sign Language vocabulary. On the second page, we have holidays, story time, sign language, music and movement, games and outdoor activities, transitions, supplies to gather for the curriculum box, individualization and any IFSPs that the children might have, and parent-child activities. And here we have the infant schedule. Schedules will vary depending on how many classrooms are in the center, but we do open the centers at 7:30. That is when children begin to arrive, and we are open till 5 o'clock, and some centers till 5:30. Okay, we're going to take a closer look into the daily schedule and the infant lesson plan. So here's a closer look at the infant schedule. As you can see, we have a teacher's name, how many children are enrolled in that classroom, the language that is used for instruction, the language spoken by each of the teachers, how many children are dual language learners, and the classroom ID number. Centers open up at 7:30. We have arrival and health routine. At 8 o'clock, we have breakfast. At 8:45, we have circle time and health routine. And that is what we're going to look into right now, circle time. As I mentioned earlier, during circle time, this is where we implement the Brain Smart way to start the day. This is where teachers and children implement unite, calm, connect, and commit. Teachers also introduce the vocabulary words for the day and any American Sign Language vocabulary that will be introduced for that day as well. Now we're going to be looking at outdoor activities, story time, music and movement, and free play. We are going to begin with the second page of the lesson plan. This is where we'll find the games and outdoor activities. Any lessons or activities that are coming from the curriculum will be pre-filled into the lesson plan. We've also tried to include the page number of where it can be found on your teacher's guide. So as you can see there, we have the activity and the page number for the games and outdoor activities. We also have story time, and as you can see, story time is left blank because it's teacher's choice. So teacher can select the story or the book that they will be using that week. We do encourage that it be theme related or be related to what the teacher will be implementing that week. Music and movement. Music and movement also comes from our Frog Street curriculum, so it will be pre-filled for you. During free play, teachers implement their one-to-one instruction through individualized activity cards, assessment and screening results, and any individual family service plans or IFSPs that might be in place. On the first page of the lesson plan, teachers document the Frog Street activity card number and objectives. So these are the color-coded cards. They come with our curriculum, and they select one card for each of the domains for each child. So each child should have at least 4 activity cards per week. So teachers write children's initials for each domain, the activity card number that they will be using, and a brief summary of the activity. On the second page of the lesson plan, this is for teachers document individualized instruction. And this is based on their screening and assessment results, teacher observations, or any parents' input. If a child is receiving services from an early childhood intervention program like ECI or Easter Seals, teachers document goals and objectives under IFSP. This is where they will document any goals and objectives that their intervention program might have for them. Here we have the afternoon infant schedule. Infants have lunchtime at 11 with a health routine and transition time at 11:30. At 11:45, they begin their rest time. At 2:15, they have another health routine. This is where children wash their face. We have diaper changes. 2:30, we have snack. 2:45, we have another health routine. Then we do a review of the morning. So we have outdoor activities. We have carpet time where teachers implement their individualized activities. Another health routine, exploratory time and story time, and then dismissal. We are now going to look into the Frog Street toddler. This is for ages 18 to 23 months, and their mascot is Max. Frog Street Toddler has 13 themes: all about me, family and home, friends, opposites, colors, shapes and sizes, nursery rhymes, traditional tales, traditional songs, bugs, farm animals, zoo animals, and on the go. And it covers the developmental domains of language, cognitive, social emotional, physical, and approaches to learning. Here we have the toddler lesson plan. It is also 2 pages. The first page, teachers document their name, theme, the date for the week, the initials for the parent that reviewed the lesson plan, and it's broken into 3 different sections. The first section is conscious discipline, and this is for the brain's smart way to start the day. The second part is the developmental domains, and the third part is the enrichment activities. The second page of the lesson plan includes group experiences, vocabulary or American Sign Language that will be introduced that week. Teachers document their individualization and any individual family service plans or IFSPs that their children might have. We also have the parent-child activity and any holidays and events that will be occurring for that week. Here we have a sample of a toddler daily schedule with arrival beginning at 7:30 and dismissal between 5 and 5:30. The time blocks will be different depending on how many classrooms the center has, but the activities are all the same throughout all the toddler classrooms. Now we're going to take a closer look at the toddler daily schedule and their lesson plan. As you can see here, we have arrival starting at 7:30 with breakfast at 8 o'clock. At 8:45, we start circle time. This is where we implement the Brain Smart way to start the day, and we have outdoor activities. Here we have the first page of the toddler lesson plan. As you can see, the first block is the conscious discipline. This is where we implement the Brain Smart way to start the day during circle time. And as you can see, we have Unite, Calm, Connect. We also implement our building community and our music and movement. On the second page, this is where we have the vocabulary and American Sign Language that will be introduced during circle time. And under enrichment activities, we find our outdoor play. Again, anything that is coming from Frog Street Toddler will be pre-filled into your lesson plan. And we have tried to include the page number of where the activity can be found on the teacher's guide. Now we're going to be looking into the learning centers and small group instruction. Here is the first page of the toddler lesson plan. Under enrichment activities, we will find our learning centers. This will include the learning centers that will be open that week and the materials that will be needed for each of the centers. During learning centers, teachers are also implementing small group instruction, which is under the developmental domains. As you can see, we have language, cognitive, social emotional, physical, and approaches to learning. On the second page of the lesson plan, we will find the individualization. So this is one-to-one instruction based on assessment and screening results, parents' input, and teacher observations. If a child's receiving services from ECI or Easter Seals, we will document it under the Individual Family Service Plan or IFSP. So teachers document the goals and objectives for that week. We are now going to look into the music and movement and group experiences. Here we have the first page of the toddler lesson plan. Under conscious discipline, we will find the music and movement. Again, this is pre-filled coming from the curriculum, and it will include the songs and the dancing activity that will be implemented for the week. On the second page, we have our group experiences. This will include a short summary and a page number where the activity can be found in the teacher's guide. So here we have the toddler afternoon schedule, beginning with 11:30 story time and a health routine. So we're getting ready for rest time, followed by another health routine to wake up, snack, small group activity, outdoor activities, another health routine, learning centers and story time, and dismissal between 5 and 5:30. Here we have the first page of the toddler lesson plan. Under conscious discipline, we will find the nap time story teacher's choice. So teacher will choose a story or book to read throughout the week. Again, we do encourage that it be theme related or related to what will be implemented during that week. Here we have Frog Street 3s, and this is a curriculum that is used for our older toddlers, ages 24 to 35 months, and their mascot is Fernando. Frog Street 3s has 9 themes: Awesome Me, My Family and Friends, Color, Shapes and Size, Safe and Healthy Me, Favorite Tales and Rhymes, Creative Me, On the Go, Amazing Critters and Animals. And it covers the developmental domains of language, cognitive, social emotional, physical, and approaches to learning. Here we have the older toddler lesson plan. It is also in 2 pages. The first page will include teacher's name, the date, parent's signature, the theme and week that they're on. Then it's broken down into several sections: greeting circle, morning message, literacy read aloud, practice centers, math, practice centers, STEM, moving and learning, closing circle, and outdoor play. The second page of the older toddler lesson plan includes group experiences, vocabulary, individualization, IFSP, parent-child activity, and holiday and events. Here we have a sample of our older toddler daily schedule, again with arrival beginning at 7:30 and closure or dismissal between 5 and 5:30. Again, the times will be different based on how many classrooms are in the center, but the activity blocks remain the same throughout all our older toddler classrooms. Okay, we're going to take a closer look at the older toddlers' daily schedule and their lesson plan. So again, we have arrival beginning at 7:30 with breakfast at 8. At 8:45, we begin our health routine, greeting circle, and morning message. And that is found on the first page of the lesson plan. We have our section for greeting circle, and as you can see, we have unite, connect, calm, and commit. And then we have our morning message. On the second page of the lesson plan, we will find our vocabulary. Again, this is a vocabulary that will be introduced throughout the week. We're going to take a closer look at the small group rotation, which includes 15 minutes of read aloud, 15 minutes of math lesson, and practice centers. Here we have the first page of the older toddler lesson plan. This is where we will find the literacy read aloud activities, the math lesson, and the practice centers. Again, anything that is coming from our curriculum will be pre-filled into your lesson plan. Under practice centers, we will include the centers that will be open for that week and the materials that are needed for each of the centers. We will now look into the outdoor activities and practice centers and individualized activities. Here we have the first page of the older toddler lesson plan. On the very bottom, we have outdoor. This is where the teacher will document any gross motor or games that they would like to play with the children outside before letting them out for free play. We also have the second set of practice centers. Will include the center and the materials that are needed for that center. So during practice centers, teachers are also implementing their individualization. Again, this is based on assessment and screening results, parents' input, and teacher observations, or any IFSPs that the children might have. Again, this is for children that are receiving services from ECI or Easter Seals. We are now going to look into music and movement and group experiences, transitions, and health routine. Here we have the first page of our older toddler lesson plan. This is where we'll find our moving and learning activity. On the second page, we'll find our group experiences. Again, this will include a short summary and page number of where the activity can be found on the teacher's guide. Here we have the afternoon schedule for our older toddlers. We have lunch at 11, 11:30, a read aloud with a health routine, with rest time at 11:45, snack time at 2:30. Then we have our STEM activity and our closing circle. We also have outdoor activities and practice centers again, and then with the dismissal. Here is the first page of the older toddler lesson plan. This is where we find the STEM activity. The STEM activity will be the same throughout the week, and it will be pre-filled for you because it is coming straight from Frog Street 3's. And we also have our closing circle. And this is a time to review and reflect what was done throughout the day before children head home. We will now be looking into Frog Street Pre-K, which is a curriculum used by our 3-year-olds, and their mascot is Fanny. Frog Street Pre-K has 9 themes: My School and Me, My Family and Friends, Giants, Choices, Stories and Rhymes, I Build, I Create, Things That Move, Animals, Changes. And it covers the developmental domains of language, cognitive, social emotional, physical development, and approaches to learning. Here we have our lesson plan for our 3 and 4-year-olds. It is broken into different sections. The very first section is the greeting circle, which includes the building community and moving and learning. The second section is workshops, group experiences, which includes literacy, shared reading, read-alouds, math and science, which is the teacher assistant directed activity, maritime, music, transition activity, outdoor play, and physical development. Then we have the section of mini workshops, which includes the content connection, which is the teacher-directed activity, the individualized instruction. Then we have the learning centers, which are construction zone, creativity station, investigation laboratory, library center, math station, pretend and learn area, computer, ABC station, and writer's corner. And the very last section is the closing circle. Here we have the individualization log for our 3s and 4-year-olds. So your lesson plan consists of the lesson plan page and individualization log. So every week you will have to complete your lesson plan and your individualization log. Here we have a sample of our daily schedule for our 3 and 4-year-olds. Again, arrival begins at 7:30 with dismissal between 5 and 5:30. Again, the time frames might be different due to the number of classrooms in the center, but the activity blocks will be the same throughout our 3 and 4-year-old classrooms. We will now be taking a closer look at our daily schedule and lesson plan for a regular Head Start. Here we have the morning section of our Head Start daily schedule. Again, arrival begins at 7:30 with breakfast at 8. 8:30 we begin our greeting circle, which includes morning greeting, the pledge, reviewing the calendar, the weather, implementing our KWL chart, theme development, talking about the theme and introducing it to the children, and daily news. At 8:45, we have our building community. This is where we implement our commitments, calming strategies, our morning message, and our moving and learning activity. Here we have the very top portion of our 3 and 4-year-old lesson plan. This is where we find the greeting circle time and our daily news. During circle time, this is where we greet our children for the day. We welcome them into our classroom. We also do our pledge. We review the calendar. We review the days of the week, the months of the year, and our dates. We have our weather helper check the weather and report what the weather is like outside. We also do our theme development. This is where we introduce the theme to the children, and we do our KWL chart. So we want to know what the children already know about the theme, what they want to learn, and what they learned towards the end of the week. Then we have our helpers chart. So this is when you give each child a responsibility in the classroom, and we rotate it every Monday. And we also do our daily news, and this is where children share something they did the day before with the classroom. Again, this is the top portion of our lesson plan, and this is where you will find the building community and moving and learning. During circle time and building community, teachers take attendance, so this is where we implement our absent child ritual and our welcome back ritual. The absent child ritual has 2 steps. The first step is for teacher to say, "We have members of our school family absent today. Everyone place your hand over your heart and think of each person as you send out your well thoughts to them." So as you're naming the children that are absent, you'll be placing their picture on the heart of your "We Wish You Well" chart. The second step is to play the "I Wish You Well" song, and this song is located in the It Starts in the Heart CD, or you can sing a short version of the song. If no one is absent, the teacher will say, "No one is absent today. Everyone in our school family is here. Let's shout a cheer. Hip hip hooray!" The welcome back ritual is used to greet children back with a special welcome back message and a kiss from Fanny Frog. So the teacher can say, "We are so glad that you are back. Welcome to class." Or you could say, "You were gone and you were missed. Where would you like your welcome back kiss?" And then they will receive a kissy from Fanny Frog. Again, during building community, this is where we implement our Unite, which is when teacher and children sing songs or chants to start the day. We also tell children what they'll be learning about. We do a connective activity. This is where children work with a partner or a whole group to complete an activity or game. And we implement our calming strategies. Again, this is for children to learn strategies that will help them manage their stress. We also do our commitments. So this is where children accept responsibility within the classroom to help teacher keep it safe. We introduce and discuss theme-related vocabulary. We implement our morning message, which is a short lesson to learn letter names and associate the letters with sounds. And then we do our moving and learning transition activity. We will now be looking into workshops, which include the teacher assistant directed activity and shared reading. During workshops, we have shared reading, math and science directed activities, and math and literacy tubs. In this section of workshops, group experiences, this is where we will find our shared reading read aloud, our CPQ and TTT, and our math and science teacher assistant directed activity. During workshops, teacher implements her shared reading. On Monday, they implement a picture walk. On Tuesday, introduce vocabulary. On Wednesday, we read the story. Thursday, we read the story. And Friday, children will act out or dramatize the story. After shared reading, teachers implements think, turn, and talk. So this is when teacher will ask the children a comprehensive purpose question or a guiding question. She'll give them time to think, have them turn to their partner, and have them talk with their partner. At the end of Think, Turn, and Talk, children will share with the whole group what they talked about with their partner. During workshops, teacher assistants implement their math and science lesson, and this is broken up into 4 sections. The very first section of the lesson will be to focus, and this is where they sing a song or a chant, or they tell a story that is related to the lesson. They develop, and this is a step-by-step walkthrough of the lesson. Then they introduce vocabulary. So they introduce and discuss the new vocabulary that is related to the lesson or activity. And then they transition, which is an activity to help children dismiss from one area to the next. After teacher assistant has implemented the math and science activity, they will work on literacy tubs on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and math tubs on Tuesdays and Thursdays, with journals being worked on Fridays. Teacher assistant does oversee any independent tables that are working on math and literacy tubs. Teacher assistants do oversee children working on independent tables. Children should be working on literacy tubs on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and math tubs on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The math and literacy tub activities should be based on targeted skills for the week. We will now be looking into mini workshops, which includes learning centers, content connection, teacher-directed activities, and individualization. Under the section of mini workshops, this is where we will find our content connection, which is our teacher-directed activity. We also document our individualized instruction, and we document any materials that will be added on into the learning centers through our surprise box. During mini workshops, the teacher is implementing her content connection activity and her individualized instruction, and teacher assistants are overseeing the learning centers. These are the learning centers that teacher assistants oversee: Investigation Laboratory, which is our Science Center, Writer's Corner, our Technology, ABC Center, Construction Zone, our Creativity Station, our Math Station, our Reading and Listening, and our Pretend and Learn. Again, during learning centers, the teacher assistant moves through the different learning areas, interacting with children, promoting language, conversation, and play. The content connection teacher-directed activity are implemented during mini workshops in a small group setting, and it covers the areas of health and safety, social studies, fine arts, literacy, science, social emotional, competence, physical development, and cooking and nutrition. After the teacher has finished with her content connection activities, she will move on to her individualized instruction. Individualized instruction is based on parents' input, teacher observations, screening and assessment outcomes, school readiness goals, and any individual education plans that the children may have. The activities and lessons from the individualized instruction are documented on the individualization log on the lesson plan. After individualized instruction is implemented, teachers do document if the child was able to do the skill. Here we have our individualization log in our lesson plan. This is the second page of our lesson plan. The very top, we'll include the week that we're in and the area manager's signature. Then it's broken off into the different developmental domains. We have gross motor, fine motor pre-writing, cognitive, language, self-help, personal social, if the child has an IEP from the school district, or other, which are teacher observations or parent input. So what the teachers do here is under the child's initials, so we'll put children's initials for each of the numbers. They can also document if the screening, if the children passed or were rescreened or referred, which assessment has been done, kind of to help you keep track who is still pending an assessment. When you're starting to document your individualization, you will go into the section that you're going to be working on. So let's say we're working on gross motor, okay? And we are doing skill 16, walks in a line. You will look at your reports from your assessment, and any children that are named under that skill, you will look for their initial and put a minus. That means that they are not able to do it. Once you have worked with them and have done your individualized instruction and they are able to do it, you will change that minus into a plus and date it. The date tells us that on this day, you witnessed that child master that skill. Once you have completed documenting on your individualization log, you will come back to the lesson plan page, and under mini workshops, you will find individualized instruction. This is where you document your one-to-one instruction. So for example, right now we've been using gross motor number 16, walks in a line. And as you can see here on the log, we have a minus for number 2, child initials CG, number 5, initials SS, and number 8, initials RV. Okay, because this is confidential information, we do not want to use initials. We do use the number that is aligned to that child's initial block. So once you're in your lesson plan, under the individualized instruction, you will document GM16, and in parentheses, you will put the numbers 2, 5, and 8. So what that means is on Monday, you will work on gross motor number 16, walks in a line, with children 2, 5, and 8 on your individualization log. Again, once the child is able to do the skill, you will change that minus to a plus and put the date. When you're working on the developmental domains and individualization, you do not need to work on each developmental domain with each child throughout the week. As long as you're working with them in one of the areas, you will be fine. We will now be looking at our outdoor play. Under workshops, group experiences, you will find your outdoor play physical development activity. This is pre-filled for you. The physical development activity is a short game or a gross motor activity that is done as a whole group before letting children out for free play. We will now be looking at literacy, lunch prep, and health routine. Under workshops, group experiences, and right underneath the building community, we will find a section for literacy. Literacy comes from the curriculum, so it's pre-filled for you with the page number where it can be found on your teacher's guide. Literacy is done as a whole group activity right before lunch. So the teacher is with the children doing the literacy lesson while teacher assistant and mealtime helpers are cleaning the tables and setting up and getting ready for lunch. These are the steps for literacy lesson. The first step is to focus. So this is where we sing a song or chant or present a story that is related to the activity that is about to be implemented. Then develop, and this is a step-by-step walkthrough with strong intentional literacy lessons. Lessons provide detailed direction for teaching key vocabulary and skills. Then we go into invite, and this is where children practice the skill. Then we introduce vocabulary. So we discuss a new vocabulary that is related to the lesson. And the last section is transition, and this is to help dismiss children from one activity to the next. So usually the transition activity will follow by children having a health routine so they can wash their hands and get ready for lunch. Here we have the afternoon schedule. In the afternoon, we do a lot of review of what was done in the morning. At 12 o'clock, we'll have a group story and health routine. So children are brushing their teeth and getting ready for nap at 12:30. At 2 o'clock, we have group music. 4-year-olds begin to wake up at 2 o'clock and our 3-year-olds wake up at 2:15. They also have another health routine so they can use the restroom, wash their face. 2:15, we have our bear time. So it's storytelling time. 2:30, we have snack. At 3, we have our circle time review. And this is where we do our reflection. We go over our commitments, our kindness tree, and family connection. Then we'll have a group workshop review and a mini workshop review and outdoor play and our dismissal. Under the section of workshops, group experiences, we will find our music. This is teacher's choice, so they will document songs or CDs that they will be listening to throughout the day and throughout the week. Then we have our bear time, which is also storytelling. This is where teachers document the story or book that they will be using that day and throughout the week. Here is the schedule for bear time. On Mondays, it's a numeracy storybook. On Tuesday, an alphabet story or book. On Wednesday, fiction. Thursday, nonfiction. And Friday is a rhyming story or book. In the section where we have our bear time, music, outdoor play, and physical development, we will find our transition activities. So teachers will document the different transition activities that they'll be implementing throughout the day and throughout the week. We use transition activities when going to workshops, lunch, exchanging small groups, health routine, and when there's extra time between activities. The last section of the lesson plan is closing circle. This is where we gather at the carpet at the end of the day. We reflect on the day, so we talk about all the different things that occurred throughout the day. We check up on children and their commitments. We talk about the kindness tree, and we do our family connection. So the kindness tree is used to document acts of kindness in your classroom. So you'll have a tree posted somewhere in your classroom. You will use your kindness recorder to help you place hearts or post-its on the tree every time she or you observed an act of kindness. Then at the end of the day, during circle closing time, you will count how many post-its were put on the tree, and you will share with the children all the acts of kindness that were observed that day. Here we have our individualization log. Again, this is the second page of our lesson plan. And this is where we document our individualized instruction. This is the bottom section of the individualization log. The very first thing that we see is field trips, holidays, and events. This is an area where teachers can document any special events that will be happening in the center, or you can document parents' meetings as a reminder for yourself, or the times for fire drills. Then we have our parent-child activities. These are the activities that you'll be sending home for parents to work with their children at home. Then we have theme-related vocabulary. So this is extra vocabulary that you will be introducing to the children throughout the week, and this will be teacher's choice. Then we have our Head Start Early Learning Outcome Framework, our ELOF. In the beginning of your lesson plan, you will have a copy of your ELOF. You will choose one skill for the week. Resources, these are just different resources that we have in the centers. Then we have an area for teachers' notes, just any notes that you might want to keep for yourself, or maybe notes for us. Usually when we check lesson plans, we'll go into teacher's notes just to make sure that there isn't any notes for us. And then the last section is additional resources. So this is for like extra activities that you might be implementing in your classroom. We just want you to get credit for doing the research. So you will put where you got the activity from and what the activity was. So for example here, let's say you use Pinterest and it was an activity of counting to 10. So you can just document it there to give yourself credit for that extra research. Now we're going to be going over Frog Street Pre-K 2020, which is the curriculum that the 4-year-olds will be implementing this year. It contains 9 themes: my school and me, my family and friends, safe, healthy, helpful me, compare and contrast, creative me, on the move, amazing critters, animals, and changes. And it covers the developmental domains of language, cognitive, social emotional, physical development, and approaches to learning. Fanny is also their mascot. There are very slight differences between the 3 and 4-year-olds and what the teachers will be implementing during each of the time blocks. So for example, workshops, teachers will still be doing their shared reading, but the teacher assistant will only be doing a math lesson. In the 3-year-old workshop, teacher assistants do a math and science. With 4-year-olds, during workshops, teacher assistant will also be overseeing the math and literacy tubs. During mini workshops, the teacher assistant will still be overseeing learning centers. So she will be going from center to center, making children are busy, engaging in conversation with them. The teacher will be implementing her teacher-directed activities, which will be a STEM activity and their individualized instruction. For our teachers, the teacher-directed STEM activity is implemented again during mini workshops and learning centers, and it is in a small group setting. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. The STEM activity begins on Monday, where the teacher introduces the activity, and throughout the week, children are working on their STEM project, and on Friday, they present it to the class as a whole group. Frog Street does provide a free online portal where you can find our curriculums, teacher guides, and resources. Teacher and teacher aides are able to set up an account to have access to this. This is a website for the Frog Street portal. It is portal.frogstreet.com/login. Once you go in there, you'll get this message that will say need to register, sign up here. You will click on the pink sign up. It will then take you to create an account. This is where you will create your username. You enter your first and last name, your niño's email, your password. Under Organization and District, you will put Niños Inc. Head Start. Under Curriculums, you will click the curriculum that you're currently using. Once you have access to the portal, you can then request to have access to the other curriculums that we use. You will type in your position, click I am not a robot, and then click on the blue register. Please keep username and password somewhere safe where you can go to in case you forget it, because we do not have access to login information. The next step will be to check your email. So you'll be receiving an email from the Frog Street portal, and it will contain a link. You will click on that link and it will take you to the Frog Street portal. So you will enter your username and password and click the pink login to your account. The very first time you do this, you will not have access to the portal yet. You will get a blue message on the bottom that will say your subscription will be available within 24 to 48 hours. So it takes about 2 days to actually get access to the portal. We will now be looking into the curriculum fidelity tool. So each of the curriculums that we use have their own fidelity tool. So we'll be looking at each one and how we did for the 2021 school year. Here we have the Frog Street Infant Fidelity tool. The very first section is teacher sensitivity to social and emotional needs of children. So you want to make sure that the caregivers create a safe environment, that the children are being responded to immediately, that infants are warmed before transitions, that they are respected in their needs. The second section is instructional strategies. So we want to look at the learning goals, if the Frog Street Infant activity cards are being implemented. Are we meeting the needs of children by differentiating our activities? Is there music and movement? Do the caregivers encourage curiosity? Is sign language being implemented? Then we go into the classroom environment. Is there appropriate lighting? Is the room temperature comfortable? Is there pictures and posters throughout the classroom? Are the infant activity cards posted? Are there books and manipulatives? And are portfolios up to date? Then we look into the intentionality. So we want to make sure that our teachers are familiar to the windows of opportunity, that teachers are referencing to what should you do, that they're familiar to child development information, that they are doing their activity trackers, and that they are sharing the parent letters with our parents. Here we have the windows of opportunity. What the windows of opportunity is, it's a list of the developmental domains and at what age is the optimum time for children to gain these skills and knowledge. Okay, so for example, we have emotional intelligence, we have trust. From 0 to 14 months, this is when children begin to develop their trust. Impulse control between the ages of 16 to 48 months. So we want to make sure that our teachers are familiar with this, and it is part of our curriculum fidelity tool. Observation. Here we have the comparison report for the infant fidelity tool. We had 15 classrooms that were observed. The green is for the beginning of the year and the blue is for the end of the year. And as you can see, under social and emotional needs, we started the year at a 90% and we ended the year at a 90%. Under instructional strategies, we began the year with an 83% and we ended the year under 96%. Classroom environment, we began with 87% and we ended at 99%. And intentionality, we started the year at an 85% and we ended the year at a 93%. Here we have the toddler fidelity tool. The very first section again is teacher sensitivity to social and emotional needs of children. We want to make sure that teachers are starting to practice those calming strategies. We're talking about commitments. We're engaging with the children. The second section is instructional strategies implemented individually or in small group. Again, learning goals are age appropriate, that teachers are implementing their lesson plan, that we are giving a differentiated instruction, that there's music and movement, and that there's sign language being introduced. Then we have our classroom environment. Again, we want to make sure that we are introducing and implementing transitions, that there's pictures and posters available for children, that there's books and manipulatives, and that portfolios are up to date. And then the intentionality, again, that windows of opportunity, what should you do? We are implementing outdoor play and that we are sharing our letters with our parents. This is a comparison report for the toddler fidelity tool. We observed 24 classrooms. Again, the green is the beginning of the year and the blue is at the end of the year. Under social and emotional needs, we began the year with an 84% and we ended at a 95%. Instructional strategies, we began the year at an 87% and we ended at a 94%. Classroom environment, we began at 85 and we ended up at 97. And for intentionality learning centers, we began at a 79 and we ended up with a 95. Here we have Frog Street 3s. The very first section again is teachers' sensitivity to social and emotional needs of children. Again, we want to make sure that we're practicing those calming strategies. We're talking about those commitments. We are implementing our greeting icons. We have our safe keeper box and our commitment sticks, and then we're implementing the kindness tree. Instructional strategies implemented in whole group, small group, and centers. Again, we want to make sure lesson plans are being followed and complete, that there's learning goals and objectives, that we're differentiating lessons depending on our children's needs, that we are providing feedback for scaffolding for our children, there's strong interactions, the children are active learners, that we're implementing our morning message and our STEM lesson. For classroom environment, we want to make sure that children's work is posted, that we are collecting our portfolios. And for learning centers, we just want to make sure that our learning centers are being implemented and utilized, and that we are introducing new materials to the learning centers. Here we have our comparison report for the older toddlers. Social emotional needs, we began the year with an 83% and we ended the year with a 95%. Instructional strategies, we began with an 87% and we ended up with a 93%. Classroom environment, we began the year with an 85%. We ended the year with a 97%. And learning centers, the beginning of the year we had 85% and we ended the year with a 99%. Here we have our pre-K Fedelity tool. Again, the first section is the teacher's sensitivity to social and emotional needs of children. So again, we want to make sure that we're practicing those calming strategies. We are talking about and making our daily commitments, that we are have our safe keeper box, a kindness tree, and a safe place in the classroom. Under instructional strategies, implemented in whole, small group, and centers. Again, we want to make sure that our lesson plans are filled out, that we are implementing any IEPs, our Head Start outcomes, that we are differentiating our activities based on our children's needs. We are implementing morning message. We're asking challenging questions during our read alouds. We are having strong conversations. We're scaffolding. We have small group instruction. The children are active learners. Classroom environment, there is creative work displayed throughout the classroom, that we are implementing themed materials from our curriculum, and that portfolios are up to date, that the letter wall displays children's names and current vocabulary. Learning centers, again, that they're being utilized and new materials are being added to them as needed. Here we have the comparison report for Frog Street Pre-K. Under social and emotional needs, we began the year with an 89% and we ended the year with a 97%. Instructional strategies, we began with an 87% and we ended with a 95%. Classroom environment, we started with an 80% and we ended with a 94%. And learning centers, we began with an 89% and we ended the year with a 96%. Here we have the Frog Street Pre-K 2020 Curriculum Fidelity. This will be the first year that we'll be implementing this Fidelity tool. So under teacher sensitivity to social and emotional needs, again, we want to make sure that we are practicing calming strategies, that we're doing those connective activities, that we're talking about and making our daily commitments, that we are implementing our safe keeper box, our kindness tree, and that we have a safe place in the classroom. For instructional strategies implemented in whole, small group, and centers, again, we want to make sure that our lesson plans are filled out, that we are implementing any IEPs that our children might have, that we're differentiating our activities based on their needs, that we are implementing morning message, that we're asking challenging questions during our read-alouds, that we are thinking out loud during our shared reading and writing lessons, that we're scaffolding for our children, that there are strong teacher-child interactions, that we are supporting our English language learners, that children are active learners, and that closing circle provides an opportunity for children to reflect on their learning. Under the classroom environment, we want to make sure that there's creative work displayed throughout the classroom, that we're honoring writing and artwork, that we are using our curriculum materials, that our letter wall is being displayed with our children's names and vocabulary, and that our portfolios are up to date and manipulatives and books are being rotated throughout the year. And for learning centers, again, we just want to make sure that we are utilizing our learning centers and providing new materials as needed. Some classroom management reminders. Remember, daily schedule helps children know what to expect, and you can make the most of your instructional time. Classroom rules should be clear and established to guide children's behavior, and of course, consistency is the key with classroom rules. Teacher has to establish a clear routine to structure that day, and again, consistency is key. Set of routine and procedures to help children explore and navigate learning centers independently. Again, this is where we use our management system. And of course, transitions to help move children from one activity to another. Classroom environment. When setting up our classroom arrangement, we want to make sure that there is space for whole group and small group instruction, that our learning centers are set up, that children are always visible. So you want to move throughout your classroom just to make sure that you're able to see all your children from anywhere in your classroom. For the classroom environment, we want to make sure the materials are well organized and labeled, that wall space is being used, that learning centers contain themed materials, activities, and books, and there's literacy incorporated throughout the classroom. So please don't forget to implement those caddies, include books and writing material in each of them. We are going to review documenting individualization just one more time just to make sure that we are all on the same page. Individualized instruction is based on parents' input, teacher observations, screening and assessment results, school readiness goals, individual education plans, which are the IEPs in Head Start, and individual family service plans, which are the IFSPs in Early Head Start. Activities and lessons from individualized instruction are documented on the individualization log and in the lesson plan. Let's take a closer look. Our infant teachers, your individualized instruction, again, is based on screening and assessment outcomes. This is our gross motor, fine motor, cognitive, language, self-help, social, emotional. Other will be parents' input, teacher observations, school readiness goals, and again, individual family service plan or your IFSP. We are going to first look into the infant individualization log. Again, this is on the second page of the lesson plan. To fill it out, under child's initial, we will use the children's initials and how many months they are. Under the developmental domain, again, we will write in the skill Once the child is able to do the skill, we will put a plus and date it. Under IFSP, the Individual Family Service Plan, we will write the child's initials again and the goal that we have set for them by either ECI or Easter seals. For our toddler teachers, your individualized instruction is again based on screening and assessment outcomes. We have gross motor, FMPW, which is fine motor pre-writing, cognitive, language, SH and SE, which is for self-help and social emotional. Under other, we will use parents' input, teachers' observations, and school readiness goals. And then we also have our individual family service plan, which is our IFSP. Here we have the toddler individualization log. It is also located on the second page of the lesson plan. To fill out, we will use the children's initials. Under the developmental domains, we will use the skill number and activity. Under IFSP, again, we will use child's initials and the goals that we have coming from either ECI or Easter seals. Older toddlers, teachers, individualized instruction, again, is based on screening and assessment outcomes. We have gross motor, FMPW for fine motor pre-writing, cognitive, language, SHPS, which is the self-help personal social. Other, we would include parents' input, teacher observations, school readiness goals, and then our individual family service plan, which is our IFSP. The individualization log for the older toddlers is also located on the second page of the lesson plan. To fill out, we will put the children's initials. Under the developmental domain, we will put the skill, number, and activity. And again, for the IFSP, we will put the child's initials and the goal that was given to us by ECI or Easter seals. Here is our individualization log for our 3 and 4-year-olds. Again, we will use our assessment report to individualize. So we will look at each of the developmental domains, select a skill, and the children that are under that skill were not able to complete that skill during the assessment. So those are the children we'll be working on. Once we select a skill, we will put a minus on each of the children's initials. Once we individualize and children are able to do that skill, we change that minus to a plus and date it. As long as we're working with one skill for each child, we are okay. Of course, there'll be some instances where children will have several of the skills that you're working on that week that they will need one-to-one instruction with. Modifications to lessons and activities. All the activities and lessons that are being implemented from Frog Street can be modified to meet the needs of your children. So you can either scaffold down the activity or you can challenge them. You can always add extra materials or extra activities within your lessons. We just ask that you first implement the Frog Street lesson and then you can implement other activities once you are done with your instruction. For the Frog Street infant activity cards, the activity cards contain explicit instructions on how to implement the lesson or activities, but it also gives you different avenues in case you need to modify the activities. For Frog Street Toddler, you will find a blue and green arrow pointing up, and this is an activity that you can use to challenge your children when implementing lessons and activities. For Fox Street 3s, which is a curriculum used for older toddlers, you will find what looks like little post-its, and it will have different adaptations for special needs and for dual language learners. For Frog Street Pre-K, you will find like little notes with pins, and it has also adaptations for special needs and for English language learners. In the Frog Street Pre-K 2020, you will find little sections called differentiated instruction, and this will give you activities to either support or to challenge children. We also have in purple special need adaptations, and in pink we have adaptations for dual language learners. In our teams, we have created an education professional learning community folder where you can find a variety of resources and materials that we use in the classroom. Once you log in into your Teams, you will click on the Teams icon. Then you can click on the EP, which is Education Professional Learning Community. Once you're in there, you will click on Files. Once you click on the files, this is what you will see. You will see folders with different titles. The very first one is Curriculum Resources. We have labeled Frog Street Infant, 3s, Toddlers, Pre-K, Pre-K 2020. Under the Frog Street Infant, you will find your activity trackers, additional activities, the Fedelity forms, the teacher guides, the assessment forms, CDs, the lesson plans, portfolios, and parent communication notes. For the toddler curriculum, you will find the Fedelity form, assessment resources, curriculum resources, parent communication, the CDs, the lesson plan, and portfolio material. For the 3s, which is the older toddlers, you will find the Fedelity form, lesson plan, curriculum resources, the family connections, CDs, and portfolio. For Frog Street Pre-K, you will find the absent and welcome child ritual, activity cards, materials for conscious discipline, which will include commitments, the calming strategies, instructions for the safe place. We'll find our Fedelity forms, forms for Fanny Frog's show and tell, the ELOF alignment, CDs, teacher resources, the family themed resources, vocabulary, games and patterns, home activity calendars, the morning message, scope and sequence. We'll find your virtual lesson plan, strategy cards, and weekly instructional materials. For Frog Street Pre-K 2020, you will find the Fedelity form, the resources, implementation of support, monthly home activity calendars, the virtual lesson plan, and theme resources. So what we try to do is basically everything that you can find in the portal, you can also find it here under curriculum resources. Under education resources, we have two folders, Early Head Start and Head Start. Under Early Head Start, you will find classroom helpers, roles, home and school poster, and your management system. For Head Start, you will find your children's pocket schedule, Learning Center signs, portfolios, rainy day activity, and transition activities. The other folders that we have are the Head Start Outcome Framework, Performance Standards. You can find home visit and conference forms, the LAP assessment resources, minimum standards, our procedure manual, our program plans. our school readiness goals, Texas guidelines, which are our infant, toddler, threes, and pre-K guidelines, transition activities, and activities for Week of the Young Child. Under the LAP assessment resources, this is where you will find information on the executive function. You will find the LAP screen form in English and Spanish for 3 and 4-year-olds. The booklet, you'll find other materials and resources for the LAP assessment. We are now going to take some time to look at our program plans. I'm in charge of the education plans, so you'll be revising the education plans for 21-22 school year. I'll be adding them to the chat, or you can go to Teams in our Education Learning Community Teams page. You can go into program plans, and then you will find education plans. So we'll take about maybe 10-15 minutes, and then we'll join back together to take the quiz. Okay, it's quiz time. Are you ready? Here is our first question. Performance Standard 1302.32 covers screening and assessment. Is that true or false? That it is false. The Performance Standard 1302.32 covers the curriculum. Question number 2, daily schedules and lesson plans are aligned. Is that true or false? The answer is true. As you saw, each of the time blocks on our daily schedules are in our lesson plans. Question number 3, lessons and activities can be modified to meet the needs of your children. And that is true. And remember, extra activities can be implemented into your daily instruction. Question number 4, implementing curriculum with fidelity should only be done when being observed for class or a fidelity observation. And of course, that is false. We must implement the curriculum with fidelity all the time. And the last one is education plans are revised once every 5 years. And the answer is false. Education plans are revised yearly. I want to end the training with one of my favorite poems. It says, 100 years from now, it won't matter what car I drove, what kind of house I lived in, or how much money I had in my bank account, nor what my clothes looked like, but the world may be a little better because I was important in the life of a child. So with that, I want to wish you guys a great school year. Can't wait to see you guys and see your children and be part of your lessons and activities. Have a great one.